Hey everyone, it's Justin Heminger here with Apex Realty Group, and we've been helping folks buy and sell real estate in Fairbanks for over 10 years. And if at any point in this video you have questions about the real estate market, drop them in the comments below or reach out to us directly at 907-885-0316. You can also find our website and email in the description if you want to view all the latest properties for sale in Fairbanks. So let's dive right in. Step number one, get pre-approved with the local lender. Before you even think about going to start looking at homes, we've got to get you pre-approved with a local lender. And if you've got questions about why I suggest using a local lender over an out-of-state lender, take a look at the local lender video I've got right above here. It's going to be your ticket to getting into seeing homes, and without this, we're not going to be able to get you inside any homes. With how low our inventory is, sellers are kind of requiring that buyers be pre-approved before they come in and see your homes. We kind of don't want to waste the seller's time. Really, I don't want to waste your time either. The last thing that I would want to have happen is for you to go into a home, fall in love with it, and then not be able to write an offer on it that day because you're not pre-approved. So let's get you pre-approved so we can get started. The second step is finding the home after you've been pre-approved. And this step can be a little bit tricky. Like I said, inventory, at least as of this video, is pretty slim. So it's going to be super important to have completed step one before moving to step two. Kind of makes sense. Once we're at step two, though, the first thing that we need to do is make up what's called a needs and wants list. The easiest way to do this is to take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of it, and on the top of the right-hand side, write needs, on the top of the left-hand side, write wants, and under each of these headings, list your needs and your wants. These can be, bedrooms, bathrooms, garages, amenities, whatever you like, but the important thing to do is to identify whether your needs are actually needs, or are they just wants? Because needs are must-haves and wants are would-like-to-haves. And when we're looking for your home, we have to find your core needs, but it would be nice to have your wants. And if we find ourselves looking at, more than 5 homes, then, we need to reevaluate our needs and our wants. If we're at 10, 15, 20 homes that we've looked at, then we're probably way off base, and we definitely need to reevaluate your needs and wants. Step number 3 is getting under contract. And in order to get under contract, we need to be prepared for a few things. The first thing to be prepared for is earnest money. And earnest money is the buyer's skin in the game for the contract. And within the purchase and sale agreement, the seller is putting their house on the line, and the buyer is putting earnest money on the line. It's what each party is really risking. It's their consideration within this contract. And typically in the Fairbanks market, the value of earnest money is right around 2%. So for instance, 2% of $300,000, so if you're buying a $300,000 house, 2% of that is $6,000. So if you were a buyer buying a $300,000 house and you wanted to show the seller that you're a good, serious buyer to be taken seriously, a $6,000 earnest money deposit would be a good, strong earnest money showing. So something to think about. Come prepared with right around $6,000 on a $300,000 home. The next thing we need to be prepared for is to write a strong offer the first time. Like I said before, inventory is super low. So when inventory is low, demand is high. There's a high likelihood of competing offers on nearly every home that hits the market. So being prepared to write a strong offer at the start will save you the heartache of losing homes. For example of what to consider when writing a strong offer, take a look at our strong offer video link put right here. Before I forget, leave a comment below if you want a copy of our Fairbanks relocation guide, and also be sure to subscribe for more Fairbanks related content, Fairbanks related real estate content especially. Step number 4 is the home and septic inspection, and then negotiating those repairs. So this step right here can be one of the most tenuous spots of the whole home buying and selling process. And it typically happens right when everyone, both the buyer and the seller, are at their most vulnerable. And it's just tough. The home inspection, which tends to be a buyer cost, needs to happen within the first 15 days of the contract. And if the buyer should find anything during that inspection that's a deal breaker for them, they can rescind their offer and go find another house. There's always that option. That being said, when the home inspector is walking through the home, they are looking for things that are not safe, sound, or sanitary. That's kind of the standard that they're applying for items to put on the home inspection report. So that should be the only things that make it on the home inspection report. Cosmetic things shouldn't be on there. Now, keep in mind, every home, no matter the age, it could be a brand new construction home, or it could be a 100-year-old home, is going to have a report. When we get that report, it could be a few items long, or it could be many pages long. The thing to keep in mind is that there may be items on that report that are deal breakers, and there may be items that are small maintenance tasks that could be completed with the aid of YouTube and a basic toolkit. Your realtor should be able to help you identify which items are big ticket things that we need to get the seller to take care of, with the aid of a professional, and which items are best to be done after closing by you, the new homeowner. Because when we are asking the seller to take care of a whole bunch of things, like if we get a 34 item home inspection report and we just send over a repair addendum that has items 1 through 34 on it, that's a great way to make the seller just really, really angry. If we can go through that same inspection report and pick out, a few of the big ticket items and realize, oh, hey, I can change out a couple of outlets. I can snake a drain. I can do these very simple fixes. I don't need to ask the seller to take care of all of these things. The sellers tend to be a little bit more agreeable to those kind of things. We don't want to be in a situation where we've asked the seller to do all of the repairs, and then we've kind of sullied the relationship that we're trying to build with the seller. Moving on to our next part, the septic inspection. As far as this goes, this could be tough. Talking about the septic inspection, if you are buying a home that's on city utilities, this whole step isn't necessary. We can just move on to step 5. But if you are purchasing a home on a septic inspection, take some time to ask your home inspector about this, because these septic inspections can be kind of complicated, depending on where you're buying your home and depending on how high the groundwater is. Now that I think about it, if you've got questions about a septic inspection or whole septic system, put the questions in the comments below. Maybe we'll do a video about it. But anyway, the septic inspection is typically a seller cost, and most financing types are going to require a passing septic system. So if the septic should fail for any reason, that's something that is going to need to be fixed in order for the home to be financed by a lender. And those fixes could range anywhere from a few $100s to well over $30,000 to fix. So it's a pretty big deal, especially if you're the seller. You don't want to be finding out, surprise, we've got this $36,000 septic that we need to get fixed. Step number 5, financing deadline. This is something that doesn't happen all the time, but it happens often enough to mention, and the remedy for it is super simple. So the purchase and sale agreement allows the buyer the first 15 days to discover whether or not they're unable to secure financing for the home. And if on the 16th day, the lender should throw up a flag and say, hey, sorry, we can't finance this loan because the buyer can't secure financing, then the buyer is at risk of losing the earnest money. So remember, we talked about typical earnest money being right around 2%. You don't want to find out on day 16 that your $6,000 earnest money check is at risk. So remember, I said there was a really quick remedy for this, a really easy remedy, and it's this. When your lender's asking you for information or documents, just get them whatever they need as quick as possible. It is so much harder for us to go back to the lender and say, hey, you guys need to cover this earnest money because it's your fault that we're not able to secure financing, when they say, no, we asked for this document on day 1 of the contract and we've been waiting for 14 days and the buyer just didn't get it to us. So when they ask for information, get it to them quickly. It's absolutely going to help out in the long run. Step number 6 is the appraisal and title reports. So unless you've written a cash offer and have waived the appraisal, the appraiser's job is essentially to help the lender ensure that they're not lending more money for a piece of property than that piece of property is worth, in their opinion. They accomplish this by looking through previously sold homes that match the subject property in terms of fit, finish, year built, and several other variables. And they'll use that data to appraise the value of the subject property. Now, if the listing licensee that helped the seller price their home in the first place used the same data to accurately price the home, and the appraiser also used that data to appraise the home, then in theory, the home should appraise at or above the agreed upon purchase price. And if that happens, that's great. We move on, we push towards closing. But sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes the appraiser comes back below the agreed upon purchase price, and then we've got some work to do. Now, something to keep in mind is that an FHA or a VA loan type has protections built into them with a FHA VA mandatory clause and a VA escape clause that prevent the buyer from losing their earnest money or being penalized with the loss of their earnest money in the event of a low appraisal. And the Greater Fairbanks Board of Realtors purchase and sale agreement also has a 7-day renegotiating period in the event of a low appraisal. So if the buyer and the seller can't come to terms in the event of a low appraisal, then the buyer may rescind and get their earnest money back and find another house. But the thing to keep in mind is that in the long run, the seller still wants to sell their house. The buyer still wants to buy the house. A high likelihood that there is something that we can do. There are some pieces that we can move across the board to renegotiate, to come to terms. But if at the end of the day, the seller's not willing to drop the purchase price back down to the appraised value, there's no going back from that. We can't move forward, and then buyer will just go find another house. Step number 7, homeowners insurance binder. This is something that can and will absolutely hold up the closing process if it's not remedied earlier. We highly recommend taking care of it early. To take care of this, give your preferred homeowners insurance provider a call and let them know you're purchasing a home and need to start the process of securing a home insurance binder. Many times they'll need a few things from your realtor, and after a quick phone call, this just gets taken care of. However, if we wait until the last minute, it could absolutely delay closing by weeks. So definitely knock it out early. In the process of a transaction right now where closing was delayed by, I think we're at like 6 weeks because the buyer didn't get their homeowner's insurance binder taken care of, and it's delayed closing by 6 weeks. So it's something that can definitely hurt. If you're looking for a referral, give my friend Jim Kelly a call at State Farm. I've got everything myself, my home, my car. I've got a camper that's insured with State Farm. He's been fantastic, so give Jim Kelly a call. Step number 8, final inspection. Now, this is typically a seller cost, and it is absolutely essential. Basically, this is insurance that the repairs that we had negotiated in step 4 were completed to the satisfaction of the home inspector. We will always get a final inspection. We want to be sure that the repairs were completed before closing. If the home inspector should find that the items that the seller agreed to repair were not completed, then we'll hold recording until they're completed satisfactorily. What we would hate to have happen is for us to say, oh, Mr. Seller, we trust that you guys did the repairs. We'll go ahead and accept the home and record. The buyer moves into the house, and then lo and behold, the repairs were not completed and the seller's gone in Timbuktu, and we've got to go find the seller to try to track down somebody to pay for these repairs. And the buyer's left holding the bag. That's just not good. So we will get a final inspection. We'll have the seller pay for this, and we'll make sure that those repairs were taken care of. Step 9 is the closing disclosure and employment verification. At this point in the process, we are almost there. The file's gone through final underwriting, and your closing disclosure will be sent to you for your review. And it's going to show you the final breakdown of what you're going to be paying for on your loan. And believe it or not, these numbers are going to look scary, and they are intended to. What they don't want is for anyone to be uninformed about the fact that they're borrowing hundreds of thousands of dollars with interest. And by the time it's paid off, it'll be way more than was originally borrowed. And this shouldn't come as a surprise. At this same time, the lender's going to be doing 2 important things after you sign the closing disclosure. They're going to be verifying your employment, and they're going to be running your final credit check. So they will have already verified your employment once, but they're going to be reaching out to re-verify again, just to be sure. You can save yourself some time and some headache by letting the person that they called in the first place know that they should expect another call or another email to re-verify their employment. Because what they don't want to have happen is for them to be not able to re-verify your employment, or for them to find out that you just quit your job and you're just like, well, I've got this new house that I'm going to be moving into. I guess I don't need this job. And then they can't close the loan, and you can't close on the house, and you don't have a house. So as far as that final credit check goes, here's the thing to remember. Nothing about your financial situation can change without the advanced knowledge of your lender during your home buying process. This is especially true after you've signed the closing disclosure. You cannot accrue any new debt or pay off any old debt after you've signed the closing disclosure. I've had it happen to where buyer signed the closing disclosure and they were like, oh, well, I've got this extra cash left over. I'm going to go and pay off this credit card. That's going to help me afford my monthly payment on my home that much better. And then they paid off their credit card, and all of a sudden their debt to income ratio dropped, which was a positive thing. That's all great, but no one knew that it was going to happen ahead of time, and it started the whole process kind of over again, and they had to re-disclose the closing disclosure. Believe it or not, puts their earnest money at risk in that case. At any point in the home buying process, do not buy any new toys, any trucks, any cars, any furniture, or anything that requires large transfers of cash or financing during the home buying process. It has a high potential to have a negative effect on your debt to income ratio and could ruin your ability to buy a home. And we don't want to find that out, especially at the end of the transaction, because at that point, your earnest money, just like we had talked about before, if we're beyond that first 15 days, you have a high potential of losing your earnest money if you can't close on the deal that you said that you were contractually, or you were, according to the contract, going to close. Step number 10, final walkthrough, closing, and recording. So from here, we're ready to schedule a final walkthrough of the home. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the home. This typically happens right before closing. And we're going to make sure that the home is exactly as it should be. So everything is in working order. Now, we're not going to be doing another inspection of the home. We're going to make sure that it is just the way that it should be, just as it was for the showing, and kind of just as it was when we did the last inspection. We're going to be making sure that the appliances all work, that they're all there, and that everything is kind of in working order according to the contract. And once that's completed, then we'll work on scheduling closing. And provided that the title company has everything that they need from the lender and everyone else, we'll schedule closing. We'll go in and sign all the documents. And if you should need to bring any funds to closing, you'll need to bring them in the form of a certified check from your bank. The title company can't take cash. They can't take a personal check. They can't take a four-wheeler. They can't take gold. They can't take guns. They can't take anything but a cashier's check. Signing should take about an hour, and afterwards we'll snap a few pictures and maybe drink some champagne. We'll celebrate. It'll be a lot of fun. Recording will typically take place the next business day, and upon recording, the home's yours. You'll get the keys and you'll be able to move right in. I know that was a long video, and I hope you got some value from it. And if you did, give it a thumbs up. We really appreciate your support. And if you're looking to buy or sell some real estate in Fairbanks, feel free to give us a call, 907-885-0316. Thank you so much and have a great day.